everybody, my name is Spammals and welcome back to Titanic VR. We haven't played this game since December of last year when it first came out, but the time has come to revisit it and have a good old snoop around in explore mode. So, without any more stalling, let's begin! Welcome to the bottom of the North Atlantic. We are here inside one of the Mir submarines. It's not really a Mir submarine, but it's pretty much a Mir submarine. Before we get onto the ship, let me give you a tour of our fabulous first-class accommodation. Here we are in the hot seat. Above us is the hatchway. Don't try opening it, bad things will happen. And around us, we've got lots of knobs and dials and things to switch up and down to your heart's content. There's a schematic of where we are. There, we are in a pressurized spheroid thingy thing inside a bigger thingy thing. And we have an ROV on board. That's cool. Right, now we've got all that business out the way. Let's explore Titanic. Now, it says we're currently in the debris field, but look at the radar. There's something pointy coming into view. Whatever could it be? Oh, look at that. I swear I'm going to take this seriously. This isn't the goof around series. Might be a couple of goofs, but look at that. That looks amazing. Okay, can I get some lights on this? Lights. Boop. That's better. Hang on, there's an outside view. Now check this out. We're on the port side of the Titanic, looking at the port side anchor, and it's like it's frozen in time. It's just stuck there. Like, I wonder, even if the chains were to break, would that ever fall once again? Now, as we ascend up the side of the hull, we can see a crane. What is that crane for? You might be asking yourself. Well, you're probably not asking, because if you're watching this, then you probably know a thing or two about Titanic. But just for saying it, for the sake of saying it, this is the auxiliary anchor crane. And that right there below it is the auxiliary anchor. Frozen in time as well, bolted down to the deck. I wonder, will it ever be recovered? Maybe, like once the ship is all said and done and disintegrated, I wonder if we could recover a couple of these items. But for now, it's stuck there and it's going nowhere. Now, there's a place called Dudley in a town called Neverton, and they have a one-to-one replica of this anchor created for the TV show Titanic: The Mission. I've seen it in person. It's amazing. That's amazing. Everything's amazing. Right, let's push onwards with the adventure. Let's stay on the outside for now as we progress forwards over the forecastle deck. Now, we've got the anchor chains coming into view there, the windlasses. We've got the cargo hatch now coming into shot. Now, the anchor crane is facing forwards because as the ship impacted on the seabed, the hatch cover from that blew off, tumbled forwards, smashing into the anchor crane, spinning it around facing forwards. Now, coming into view, we have the mast collapsed, sagging. Now, as we mentioned in the previous Let's Plays of this wreck doesn't represent a singular time period, but rather multiple time periods. So here we have the crow's nest still in situ, although that is long gone. Some say knocked off by a reckless sub pilot. Others just say, well, it just disintegrated and fell apart. Whatever happened, nobody truly knows. Now, as we climb over the front of the ship, we've got the bridge coming into view. I mean, just look at this. It is a world of pitch darkness. The light here is the only light the ship will ever see again, unless the ocean was to somehow disappear or the wreck was to be raised, which is never going to happen, so get that out of your head right away. But look at this. As we come into view, it's almost like something out of a pantomime play. Like just a stage lighting illuminating a singular actor stood there, center stage. It's kind of spooky to think about all of the drama and action and destruction that this one item has seen. Taking a step back, looking amongst all of the debris, you got some well-end davits on the right-hand side. You got a bit of the mast poking into shot, but dead ahead, you can see the outline of the officers' quarters and the wheelhouse. That's where we currently are. This is where Quartermaster Robert Hitchens was stood on duty as the collision with the iceberg took place. One can only begin to imagine what Hitchens might have seen from this position, because he hasn't really got a clear line of sight. He's got a window in front of him, he's got another ship's wheel in front of that, another window in front of that, you got the main mast straight ahead, and then it's nighttime, it's darkness. It wouldn't have been long before the iceberg gets into view and he can feel that the vibrations coming through the ship. Glancing to the right, he'll see it coming into view. Must have been terrifying. Now, 106 years later, where we are today, this is what remains. This is what it's like there. So as we recover the ROV, we're going to continue on with our exterior tour. Before we leave, yeah, you do a little swivel. Amazing job. Now, before we do head further aft, I want to finish up here on the forward well deck. Now, have a quick look at the crow's nest. but I also want to have a classic peek down some of those cargo holds. Look at this right here. That's an amazing view. We can see so much in this single shot. Looking at those cargo holds, you can see the decks laid one after another like some sort of cake. Looking at the crow's nest, you can see where the bell was hung from. You can see where the entrance is to actually get into the crow's nest. Let's get back in the ROV and have a closer look. So moving things in a little bit closer, you can see that bracket where the bell was hung from, but we can also see where the lookouts Reginald Lee and Frederick Fleet were stood when the impact of the iceberg took place. Now once again, try to put yourself into their shoes. We are here in their crow's nest, looking out into the darkness, and from the darkness the silhouette of the iceberg appears. As quickly as they can, they ring that bell, ding, ding, ding. They call down to the bridge and they give the warning. Iceberg right ahead. Now people to this day still say, well, they didn't have their binoculars. If they did, they would have seen it in time. It could have been the difference between hitting and missing, life and death. But this is not the case. You don't use your binoculars all the time. You spot with your eyes first, then you use binoculars. And sadly for the Titanic, by the time they spotted it, it was already too late. Now the White Star Line, they know a thing or two about making beautiful ships, and Titanic was exactly that. She was beautiful, she was stunning. Now here, as we travel down the starboard side, we have the Welland Davit in the cranked inwards position, ready to receive another boat behind it. The bulkhead of the officers' quarters is collapsing down, and below us we have the enclosed portion of the A-deck promenade, and that to me is one of the most aesthetically pleasing parts of the exterior, seeing all the way forward it's enclosed, to the aft it's opened up, it's beautiful. Now here we have an expansion joint middle of the frame. That is so it allows the ships to flex as it rides up and down those waves. And coming into view now, we have the grand staircase. Well, the windows leading into the grand staircase. There's the doorway now in shot. Now the dome, long gone. The staircase itself, long gone. The funnel would have been right ahead of us now, and directly ahead of us is the first class gymnasium. Now as we continue to head aft, you notice that the deck is dropping away faster and faster, because this is where the end comes for the forward section of the ship. There we're looking at the crumpled, crushed remains of the first class lounge as we drop down back to the seabed. Kind of spooky to see the whole plating and knowing how thick it is, just how it's bended and crippled and just distorted. Like the sheer amount of pressure and force and weight being held down on it. You see those double windows? That's from the D-deck level. Like, it really does give you a reference point of where you are on the side of the ship. And as we get down closer and closer to the seabed, let's try not to crash into the side as we try to swing round and get a glimpse at some of those boilers. And there they are. Resting at the bottom of everything. Ginormous Scotch boilers. Now, I know we're having a hard time seeing as that light struggles to punch through the darkness, but we can see deck by deck pancaking down on top of each other, deck by deck by deck, and the 5 boilers at the bottom. We're looking at the aft end of boiler room number 2. Attached to those 5 boilers would have been an uptake casing coming aft and toward the center, because directly above us would have been Titanic's 3rd funnel. Now, further after us again would have been boiler room number 1 that had 5 single-ended Scotch boilers, and behind that would have been the reciprocating engine room. But what this also represents is part of Titanic's missing middle, because if you take the forward end of the Titanic wreck and the stern section of the Titanic wreck, put it together, there's a massive chunk missing. This is the missing middle. If you look at the reciprocating engine room on the aft section of the wreck, you will notice the high pressure cylinders of the engines are missing. I think it starts off with the medium pressure. This is all the missing middle. As it all broke apart and smashed up and everything, that all just got ripped apart to shreds. It's scattered out in the debris field. There are some larger sections in the debris field, and that all represents what was the missing middle. But anyway, I'm not an expert, so if I do make a mistake, it's only because I'm human. But I love this wreck, I love this ship, I love this. I love history. This is amazing. This is real, and I hope you love it too. Now, what I think people still to this day struggle to kind of get in their head is that VR is so much more than just for games. Titanic VR is not a game, it's an experience. It truly is. It takes you there to the bottom of the North Atlantic, to the wreck of the Titanic, and it feels so real. The hair stands up on its end on your skin. It's spooky, it's chilling, it's an experience. But God, I still remember back to December when I played this, just how it made me feel being there, surrounded by all of this in full scale around you. Even now on a 2D monitor, you can still take in just how impressive it is. So we're going to slowly ascend up over the boilers, and we're going to do a final pass going forwards over the top of the wreck, having a look straight down, seeing what we might have missed as we travelled over. So, as we said, we are looking at the raised roof above what was the first class lounge. Completely pancaked, completely destroyed. The compass tower would have been right there, right below us. Let's bring the camera straight down. Let's get my lights in position. Not a lot of detailing left. Not a lot of anything left. But under there, it's still there. The room is still there. I mean, it would have been destroyed, so paneling rotted away and all that jazz. But that would have been there. So now we're looking at the second funnel. To the right of us is the first class gymnasium. The roof collapsed in. And you can see part of the remains of the funnel and ultimately the uptake casings straight down. It'd be amazing if we could drop straight down. I don't know if they've tried it or not, but I imagine at some point there would be blockages. Now, the first class grand staircase. Again, the roof has collapsed down and the staircase is completely missing, but it does offer us easy access to multiple layers of the ship. Now you can see the small little hatchways leading into the widest rooms, the expansion joint, more air intakes, and now here we have the first funnel coming into view. Again, remains of the funnel uptake casing still present. Surely you can get a camera down there so far. I mean, I guess it's a fool's errand, because if they are still attached to the uptake casings, they're just going to go into a boiler. And now we're back over the bridge where we already started. See, once again, the silhouette of where the deck house was. Wheelhouse, well and davit on the floor. Forward mast just disappearing into the darkness. And as we start our ascent, the Titanic once again disappears into the darkness below. And with that, this has been part 1 of our revisit to Titanic VR. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. I've tried to kind of keep it as condensed as I can because, well, I've been recording for 1 hour 40 minutes, believe it or not. There's so much to see, but we have only so much time to do it. Now, coming up in the remaining episodes, we're going to be going inside of the wreck here in the explore mode, and we're going to have a good old poke around, see what we can see if anything stands out. Now, if you have enjoyed today's episode, do leave me a comment down below with your thoughts and opinions. I would love to hear them. And on that bombshell, thank you for watching. Rate, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next episode. Goodbye, everybody!